Oh, this looks interesting. Warms up the water. Okay. Oh, it's ready to use. Cool. How do I... Wait. I put my balls in it and zap my balls for a few minutes? It's got an app, though. Wow, the timer on that thing. Your balls are in there for 4 minutes while it zaps it with Ultra? That can't be good. That cannot be good for your balls.
When I first heard about it, I thought it was almost too good to be true. That's true. Thousands and thousands of people reporting absolutely transformational health benefits, tens of thousands of 5-star reviews, and life-changing stories. Colostrum is the first nutrition we receive in life, and it's an exclusive source of all the essential nutrients we need in order to thrive. Armra Colostrum is a bioactive whole food with 400-plus functional nutrients like antibodies, antioxidants, micronutrients, and minerals. It's been known to strengthen immunity, to improve gut health, to ignite metabolism, among other benefits. Armra Colostrum is cruelty-free and only uses surplus colostrum from grass-fed cows that would otherwise be waste produce. It's a win-win. We've worked out a special offer for my audience. Receive 15% off your first order. Go to tryarmra.com/Jimmy or enter Jimmy to get 15% off your first order. That's TRYARMRA.com/Jimmy. All right, welcome back. We have special guest with us. Dr. Mary Tally Bowden is a board-certified, I can't say that, otolaryngologist. How do you say it?
Otolaryngologist.
Okay, and she's a sleep medicine specialist who completed her residency at Stanford University. She successfully treated more than 5,500 patients without a single death. Look at that. But she was nevertheless suspended by the Houston Methodist Hospital over alleged misinformation. She's the founder of Breathe MD, a clinic focused on personalized sinus, allergy, and sleep care. Dr. Bowden is also known for her work in publishing research and her involvement in advocating for health freedom through initiatives like the Coalition for Health Freedom. Please welcome back to the show, Dr. Bowden. Thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
So I just want to play this. So if people don't know, you stood up, you had to show, courage and tenacity, and most people, I would say most people in the medical profession did not. And so you got a little tribute from our favorite member of the Texas legislature, and I just want to play that.
Dr. Bowden, you're my spirit animal. I know that sometimes you feel alone and you're looking around saying, what is everybody doing? Why aren't more people standing up? And I want you to know you're not alone in that. I know exactly what that feels like. But I want you to know that God surrounds you. He's proud of you for standing up. He will protect you. And you continue your obedience because that's what you're here on earth to do. You thought you were just going to be a doctor. And I don't mean just a doctor because you've done amazing things. But God has big plans for you. And I'm so proud that you continue to stand firm for what you believe in. Thank you so much.
Hear, hear. Not now. From someone who's taken the slings and arrows not as badly as you have, over telling the truth about that must have felt really nice, right?
It was wonderful. Do you know Shelley's backstory?
So
because she was
So Shelley. By the way, let's talk about Shelley. So tell us her backstory. Go ahead. I'll let you tell it.
Well, she was put in prison for 3 nights because she refused to lock down. She owned a hair salon and she stood up and, she's not the type that would, go to prison. Right. And she stood up and stayed strong. And then she was so mad that she ran for office. And then she just won this last election. So she's a brand new representative.
Wow. So, yeah. So she actually went to prison to fight against the authoritarian fascist lockdowns that most people accepted and most people pushed, and they would slander you if you spoke out against them, which was the most anti-American thing I can imagine. People act like fascism just came to America with the election of Donald Trump, and I had to remind people like Cornel West on my show and many others that you've been living under fascism. You just cheered it on instead of fighting against it. And someone like that, a hair salon owner, did fight against it, had more courage than all the people I normally look up to. And of course you stood up against it also. So it's that's great job. And this just happened. This was on May 15th. She tweeted out, "Tonight I passed HB 3441. It's a bill to hold manufacturers who advertise in Texas liable for injuries their products cause to Texans. Let's make Big Pharma put their money where their mouth is." So that's a great, you must have been excited to hear that also, right?
Yeah, I actually came and testified for that bill too, so it was even better.
So how does something like that get passed in a legislature like Texas, especially knowing how corrupt our politics are in general in the United States?
Well, yeah, it's surprising in some ways, and in some ways it's not. I mean, at the same time, there was a bill to make ivermectin over the counter in Texas, and that died.
That failed.
The bill to ban mRNA shots in Texas, and that died. So, they had to give some leeway, and this is what they decided they do.
Now, my theory, my guess is that they think it's going to get struck down by the Supreme Court, and that's why they were willing to go along and give a small victory to people like Shelley and us. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've wondered if, yes, this is just, giving somebody breadcrumbs to keep us happy.
Okay.
But we'll see. I mean, we'll take it as a win for now.
It just seems like, why is there a special carve out for this one product that nobody else, I saw Borla, the head of Pfizer, he was asked, why do you have this carve out for no one can sue you for damages if they're injured by a... He said, well, that's because people can get in a car accident and they can say, oh, it's from the... Well, they can say that about any other drug. They could say that about a high blood pressure medicine or a cancer treatment or any other drug, yet you don't have a special card out for that. You just have it. So that, and of course the interviewer didn't push back and say that to them because the interviewers are being paid by the big pharma, and that's the big problem in America. So it's crazy that there's this one single carve out. And isn't it amazing to you how much they've been able to get people to go along with the big pharma propaganda about the carve out for?
Well, I'm kind of mad at myself because I never questioned it. I remember learning about it in school, and it was presented as a great victory for because were protected, and it was the gospel according to there was no discussion of any kind of issues, side effects, dangers at all with it was just taken as a fact that safe and effective, and they deserved a special protection so that nothing, could happen to them, that they'd never have a threat to go away or so. And, I never questioned mandating for children to go to school until the shots came around. And, when all medical mandates are fundamentally wrong, but we've gone along with it for so long. When we take our children and get them shots, vaccinations, only because the school is making us, that's a medical mandate. And I don't know about you, I can't speak for you, but the majority of people have gone along with that.
Well, I, like you, never thought about it until... And I don't have children, so I wasn't faced with that dilemma. And what shocks me is that I have friends today who I consider very smart, and they go along with the schedule without question, no skepticism whatsoever. And, I talk to them and I say, that within the first day they give to a baby for hepatitis B, which can only be gotten through intravenous drug use or unprotected sex. Why would you give that to a baby? And their answer is, well, that's the first one they give them. That was literally what people say. Well, that's the first one they give them. Like, that's as if that's not ridiculous to say. So I'm lucky I dodged that bullet. I didn't have to make that decision and live with the guilt that I probably would have right now if I got my kids on that schedule. What do you... okay, so anything else you'd like to say about that before we move on?
No, I mean, it's hard. I mean, I don't envy parents of young children, because none of these shots, none of these have been tested against placebos, saline placebo, and they haven't been tested where you give 6 shots in one day. So it's a dilemma. And, what I'm telling my patients is, maybe hold off until hopefully, Robert F. Kennedy will straighten that out and we get some real data.
Yeah. So when they say that they've been safety tested, what I've learned because of the work of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is that when they say that they've been tested, they've been not tested against a placebo, which is an inert saline solution. What they've been tested against is another. And some of these tests are very short. They've only followed up for them. You can speak. How short are some of those tests?
Generally, I believe about a month sometimes, not long term.
Yeah. So you would think it would be 10 years. You think it would be, they would follow these, but no, it's not. Some of them, just 4 to 6 weeks, and which is very disconcerting to me. And you're not allowed to ask these questions because people get scared. They've been told, the propaganda is, well, if you ask questions about the schedule, you're liable to make other people hesitant, and then everybody's going to get sick and die. That's the big propaganda, right?
Right. And the other thing they don't tell you, and we learned this during, is early treatment works for the vast majority of diseases that are being vaccinated against. There is a treatment for, so that's also not being discussed.
Yeah, it's amazing how measles went from a punchline on the Brady Bunch when I was a kid to now being the scariest thing in your kid could ever face, and a life-threatening illness that everybody should be shitting their pants about on a 24-hour basis. To me, it's just amazing. And when I show those videos of how it was a punchline on the Brady Bunch, and to now you'll see these dramas on NBC talk about, oh my God, and they have their dramatic music underneath. It's just. It just goes to show you that when Bill Clinton allowed Big Pharma to advertise on network television, that was really, really a horrible thing for this country. And people don't know that we're the only country besides New Zealand that does that. And guess which 2 countries were the most authoritarian and oppressive during?
Right. That's a good point.
So we live in a completely corrupt society, and that's what I'm trying to say. And I can't believe people still turn to corporate news for their news, even after Russiagate, even after the Iraq War twice, even after Afghanistan for 20 years, and even after they lied to their face that Joe Biden wasn't demented. And when everybody knew that, I knew that he was demented in 2019. And so if I knew that, they knew it too. And now they're all pretending that they were hoodwinked by the administration, although we know they weren't. And those people, the thing that's surprising to me is not that corporate news lies, because that's what they do. The biggest liars are the government. Second is corporate news. And third are randos on social media. But what's surprising to me is that people continue to go back to those people who've lied to them at every turn. Since I can remember, they've lied to them at least since the Iraq War. They've lied to them about everything. Isn't that surprising to you?
Yeah, hopefully the pandemic changed that to some degree. I'm certainly a lot more skeptical of. I used to watch mainstream news. Now I would never, and I think there are definitely more of us out there now.
So I want to get to this case. So they came at you, right, for telling truths about ivermectin and they came down hard on you. And so what's happening now is that they're coming after you still. This is from just the other day. Dr. Mary Talley Bowden's social media activity faces review in a hearing. Can you tell us? So they're still coming after you for old posts you made on social media. Can you tell us what the background is on this and what's happening?
Yeah, I had 2 hospitals report me to the medical board. First was Houston Methodist. Basically, they suspended my privileges for spreading dangerous misinformation. And my response was to resign. And then they turned me in for resigning. And then at the same time, Texas Hughley Hospital turned me in because I was trying to help a man who was dying get ivermectin. His wife sued the hospital. I was part of that lawsuit, and we won. And we had a court order to give the man ivermectin. Basically, the hospital appealed. There was a stay, but there was a lot of confusion over whether or not I was allowed to go. And the lawyer told me I was allowed to send to the nurse to give the ivermectin. But the hospital said I wasn't, but I didn't know that at the time. And the nurse went to the hospital, shows up, and the police basically tell her to leave, and she leaves. So that was November 2021, and it's just become this saga. It's been dragged out for 3.5 years. And they recently the medical board was awarded summary judgment against me, saying that I did not have privileges when I sent the nurse. And so this hearing was to determine how guilty I am, what kind of punishment I deserve. And the first thing they did during the hearing was scrutinize a bunch of posts I made on social media 3.5 years ago.
And so were you ever able to get that patient ivermectin?
No, he never got it. He did make it out of the hospital, but he could never make a full recovery. He lost half of his body weight, and he died April 11th, 2023.
Wow, that is sad. And so this is they're trying to take away your medical license. Is that what this is about?
Well, they're trying to sanction me. I don't know that they would take my license away for this, but they offered me initially to make it all go away if I paid them $5,000 and agreed to do 8 hours of CME and retake the jurisprudence exam, which is a legal exam all doctors have to take. And I just said, no way, I don't want to do that. And I was hoping for a public hearing, but right before the hearing was scheduled, they filed a motion for summary judgment, and the judges awarded it to them. So I didn't get my hearing.
Wow. So you don't even get your day in court. And so what you're in the medical field. You must interact with lots of other licensed professionals. Have they woken up to the fact that they were in fact lied to, and that there was a concerted effort by the establishment to make people think that ivermectin was not a safe drug, and that ivermectin was not supposed to be used for humans, and not only that, but hydroxychloroquine, that there was this extra effort to make it seem that it was dangerous when it really was safer than Tylenol?
There's been some shift. I mean, I saw 2 radiologists today in my office who were, they'd both gotten multiple shots, and now we're having issues, and we're fully aware of what had happened. But I asked them, okay, what about your colleagues that you hang out with? They're like, oh no one sees it yet, which I found surprising. I see more online. I see a lot of doctors online speaking out more than I used to. But I don't know that many doctors are where I am.
And is that because, I give so much, we used to before, put so much faith into doctors, and we revere them, right? Why do you think doctors are so reluctant? I mean, I think they're more reluctant than the average Joe to be skeptical of the and big pharma this day. Why wouldn't that be the exact opposite? The people who know the most. Why are they like that, you think?
Well, naturally, we're a certain type, we're a certain personality, because to survive the training, you have to be compliant. And I've never been in the military, but I imagine medical training is similar. I mean, you have to, it's very rigid, you cannot veer outside the lines. And you have to make straight A's, and you have to be likable to get through it. So I think that's part of it. I think doctors are not prepared to deal with online information, because like when I was training, if you didn't have a textbook, you didn't have the information. So you really didn't have patients coming to you all the time, questioning what you were doing. you were the authority. Now it's quite opposite. I mean, now before anybody goes to the doctor, for the most part, they have research and they sort of have what's going on in their head. And doctors don't like that because, it is a lot of training and we do see a lot. And then when you're constantly being questioned, you dig your heels in. I think a lot of it is financial that, most doctors are employees now, the vast majority. And if they're not employees, they are tied to a third party that, has a little say in how they treat patients. And I'm different. I call myself third party free because I don't contract with any third parties. But that's unusual. And that, like it or not, that guides a doctor's decisions to some degree. So I think it's multifactorial. It's just doctors are not like they used to be. I mean, the doctors that trained me, some of them were wonderful. I mean, they were ahead of their time. They were outspoken and almost rebellious in some degree. But it's just a different. They're a different nature now.
And so, what is are you still waiting for a decision on this case?
Yes.
And so do they give you a date when we'll know what the result is?
No.
Okay. Well, let us know. Keep us abreast. I'd love to cover it. And so speaking to, what you just talked about, I saw this video was tweeted out by Dr. Simone Gold, and it speaks about why doctors are compliant and why they don't question or aren't skeptical and don't push back against establishment narratives. And she has a great theory. Let's listen.
5 years ago, let's say, doctors were now 15% of them were self-employed and 85% of them worked for either like a hospital corporation or some other kind of big corporate structure. That's foundationally a completely different environment than 40 years ago. Doctors are no longer small business owners working for the patient. That's one thing. Number two, medical training, medical education, in retrospect, selected for and rewarded physicians for being very compliant with protocols. And then we did this protocolized medicine year after year. It got more and more and more. For example, in my work as an emergency physician, a person comes in with a fever. If I didn't give them antibiotics within 1 hour of their arrival to the ER, I would be financially penalized and my job would be threatened. So you learned to comply. There was kind of no way to push back. So we've had years and years and